So welcome everyone to our Drawing Sacred Geometry class number 6 with Portland Community College. I love my like quantum field connection to Portland through these classes. You know, it's so fun because I love the Northwest, and this is so tangential in the introduction, but we in the Southwest have not had rain for 2.5 months. And my little Northwest bits are drying up. I need some rain, so please send me some. But I know that we are getting into the winter rainy nights and days. So we will set that tangent aside now, and we're going to drop in and do some meditation, just a little grounding before we get into the shares and the drawing and all of the good Tesseract fun that we've got for today. Welcome, Zabby. Maybe we'll be able to see you this week. Good to have you here. Let me see if everyone could. Oh, good. Everyone's on mute because we're just going to drop in for a moment. I want to invite you to close your eyes. Give yourself a few minutes of peace and breathing and dropping in with yourself. It's very powerful to breathe in through your nose and release out through your mouth, and letting go of tension and bringing in relaxation. That in through the nose and out through the mouth processes all of the breath to its full potential, and we can simultaneously relax into the moment and also energize our systems. Using the breath to bring our consciousness into the present moment, bring our awareness to connect with all of the different parts of ourselves. Maybe doing a little inventory of all those parts. Notice how you're showing up with your thoughts and your emotions, your physical body, where are your energy levels. Feeling connected to source and spirits, or disconnected. However you are feeling in this moment, just making space for it and acknowledging it. Maybe you'd like to shift. Maybe you'd like to stay in the space you're in. Just welcoming all with the breath, taking it in, acknowledging. Relaxing into however it is that you're showing up, making that choice, however it is you'd like to spend the next 2 hours. That feels like 2 minutes. Taking a moment taking a breath into your heart, a moment of gratitude. Acknowledging there are so many blessings, most basic of which is the breath. Feeling a sense of gratitude for our breath, for our ability to be here, and for everything. All of the human experience on every spectrum, every end of the spectrum. So as you're ready, come on into the visual field, and we will have a little hello and then get into the Tesseract or hypercube or eightfold geometry. Is my camera okay? Am I laggy at all? Is it slow? It's fine. Okay, great. All right. So Munchkin's in the camera. Let's do a little review. How was your week? Have you thought about geometry? Have you barely survived? How is everyone? And obviously, no pressure. I want gold stars all around. I want a treat. I'd like a donut because I got to show up. Like I would like a treat. Doing really great to just be on my feet today. So how is everyone? How was your week? Hey, Joni.
First, I want to congratulate you on doing the same. Way to hang in there. Stay on your feet. Or
Yeah.
don't.
Or don't.
Collapse into just clump. Whatever you got to do to survive.
Thank you.
You need to
Yeah.
take a moment, go ahead.
Oh, I've
But
tried.
likewise, a hair on fire kind of week. I haven't looked at my notebook until just now, and yep, that's pretty classic for me. But you know, I strive for not so many hair on fire weeks. They just don't come often enough. But I'm
Wow,
happy to
hair
be
on
here.
fire. Never used that one. That's great.
It stinks.
Wow. And plus it was, I mean, we bridged the whole eclipse window. I mean, just the Leanne started us off with the cosmic forces, I mean, it's really so strong right now. So gentle kindness and donuts is what we have. All right.
Halloween candy.
Oh God, Halloween. Don't even get me started. All right. Thanks,
Thank you.
Joni. Yeah, glad you're here. Sabby, we can see you today. That is very cool. No pressure. You don't have to jump in. I'm just excited that we made it.
I will jump in.
Okay, how you doing? Are you
I'm
in your new
good.
place?
Yeah, well, I signed the lease today.
Congratulations.
Got the lights turned on and it's all
Yeah.
ready for me to go and just move my stuff in. The big daunting task right now is packing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
One box at a time, right?
One box at a time. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I didn't have a chance to draw this week. I've been just kind of going through stuff and literally talking about the fire. My friend, I had these bins at her house and I've been storing them there for over a year. And
Oh boy.
I opened them up and there was all this stuff in them that I knew that this moment was going to come where I was going to have to get rid of it one way or another. And she's like, do you want to burn it? I was
Oh
like,
wow.
yeah. And she had made me this little teeny fire pit with all this kindling, and we put all the cedar and the juniper and rosemary and sage, and she just kept pulling stuff from her garden and putting it in, and the fire just smelled so wonderful.
Oh, nice.
Literally, the fire was just, yeah,
Yeah.
really
That's a
nice.
solid puja. Yeah, well done.
Yeah.
Yeah. Brilliant. I'm so glad you're in your new place and glad you're here and glad we can see you and all of the
I
things.
know. I restarted the computer. What do you know? I was like, we need to see each other. How is Yep.
Well done. Well done.
Thank
Always
you.
the reboot, the restart.
Yep.
All right. Yay, we're all just showing up. This is fabulous. All right. Let's see. I'm thinking Leanne's got her hand out reach.
Okay.
Okay.
So my
Oh my
drawing,
gosh. Wow.
not so good.
Yeah, but you did something. That's amazing.
I
What do
did
you mean not
something.
so good? That is so cool.
So, and my brain is a little scrambled. I'm on camera we had no shower today. So
Oh
anyway,
no.
I was watching the class from last week and I got hung up in the history part.
Oh.
And I went to, tell me again, the person that was thrown out of,
Oh,
he was religious. He was
was
thrown
it
out. And
Alphonse Constant Levi, I think? Levi, yeah. Mm-hmm.
yes. And
Impressed with
he
that recall.
had something written for magic, or he had the title. Okay,
Transcendental
well,
magic. Mm-hmm.
I know. So I found it on the internet and I was starting to read a little bit and I kind of got spooked. It's it would take me a year to read it, but as I was looking through, I kind of got spooked with it and then clicked off. And so that's what I bring.
That is so cool that you went into it though. I've never tried, but it was legit kind of spooky, huh?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dark.
I mean, a long time ago. I have a hard time believing it that this person did this by himself.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, it was spooky. I'm not sure I want to look at it again.
Yeah.
But anyway, might let that one go.
Yeah. Well, I mean, part of where all of that comes from is that you can use the geometry, you can use the magic to tap those forces, which is where
Mhm.
that dark stuff comes. So I mean, he might have been doing it alone, but he was tapping into the
Right.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Well, that's fun. I've
yeah.
never known anyone to do that or done that myself. So that is very informative. Thank you.
Okay. So
And you drew. Now, here's my thought. So I think you held it up and you said, something like, oh, well, it's not so good, or something like that. Something, right?
I know.
What
I
if-
don't know. I don't know why I always do that.
I know. So what if next time you were to hold it up and go, look how awesome this is? Like, just-
Because I actually thought about that also, kind of going back in my mind over the class. I'm like, Leanne, it takes people years to do these things, right?
yeah.
And you think you take a couple classes and you've got a couple pins and you're going
Mhm.
to put this all together. And it's like, you know, it takes years. It takes a lot of thought and a lot of effort. So,
Yeah, a lot of practice, right? And we've
right.
got these busy, full lives, and you've done this beautiful thing of setting aside time for yourself. But how about if we try it? How about if next week you're like, how cool is this? Look at what I did.
I did it. Yeah.
I dare you.
Yeah, exactly. And I'll have my hair washed next week too. Okay.
Oh, I wouldn't have thought anything if you had the setting. Nobody would have known. Nobody would have known. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Oh, that's so great. All right. Let's see. Kiori or Ben, how's it going? Kiori, why don't you, since you're on camera, and then maybe Ben will pop on, maybe not. How you doing?
Yeah, I didn't have time last week, but I did after the class I knew where I went wrong, so I redid it. So I
Okay.
got it right.
Yay.
Yeah.
Do you want to show us, or which one was it? Was it the
Oh, it was
Penta?
the star one.
Uh-huh. Yeah. It's nice to, oh, we got kiddos. Hi there. All right, I'm going to spotlight you, Kiori, and then we'll come over and say hi to Ben. Let me see. All right, yeah, was that the 7? Oh, the heptagram. Yeah, nice. Beautiful. Yeah, did it feel better to just, line it up the way, like symmetrically?
Yeah, before the prep, like the prep one, I just
Mhm.
felt something was wrong. And
Yeah.
yeah, and now this felt right. I was like, oh yeah, I just feel it in my gut.
Yeah, you can feel it line up. So that's
Yeah.
great that it's great that you pulled that off, even with as you not having time. That's amazing. Yeah. And you've got other art going on, all sorts of creative flow. So
Yeah.
glad you're here.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wait, hang on. Let me spotlight you again. I like to. Oh, wow, beautiful.
And I got a really strange cone-shaped cabbage, so I did a
Oh,
cabbage.
wow, so cool. Oh, I love it. Oh my goodness. So is a painting class, like where you have charcoal and painting and all the different forms, or that's
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
Yeah.
This one is gouache, and the other one is acrylic. And then I also did the drawing for the leaves. So yeah.
Oh, fun. Oh, good, clean fun. I'm so excited you've got so much creative flow going on. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you. All right. Ben and Fam, how's it going?
We're well over here. No drawing to report this week, but as always, we're glad to be here.
Yeah, very cool. Thanks for being here. Oh, hang on, I'll grab, I actually I didn't draw, well, no, I did draw geometry. Hang on 2 seconds. All right. So I have my crop circle drawing class. And so it's based in geometry, which is what I love. It's part of why I love it. And so I went to England this year to go sit in crop circles. And so I got to sit in a day old crop circle. I got to sit in this one. And I think it was the prettiest one of the year, right? It was so beautiful. And it's a 9-fold geometry, right? It's 9, 9, and 9. So it's 18, 27 that reduces to 9. And it's just super cool. And of course, I looked at this and I was like, oh, I can draw that. That's out of the flower of life. So you draw the flower and then you divide it by 9, right? Because the flower is a hexagon, and then you can divide it into 9 for the nonagons. And then you can draw it, which is so much fun. And so crop circles are next level geometry. And so I love this one. And it was so soothing because I just felt pummeled this week. And so it was just like, let me draw something happy and bubbly and spherical and cosmic. So that was my drawing. I'm trying to do it.
I have to comment on your shading.
I was
Yeah.
gonna do the same, Leanne. Nice
Beautiful.
one. Yes.
Isn't it fun? It just gives it dimension and the, well, because from on the ground it had dimensionality too, and just I love spheres, and Zabby, I'm so glad that you got to find your way to shading, because it's just kind of a fun way to pop things, you know, especially with the geometries. Yeah. So so it is so good. I'm trying to follow my own advice and actually draw, and it's just I'm getting less and less, I'm getting away from that voice. It's like, oh, you should be doing something. You could be making some money, do something productive. Fine. I'm just going to draw my crop circle. It all works out. So, okay. So we're recording. Great. So this today is one of my favorite classes. We're going to be doing the Tesseract, right? Which is 8-fold geometry, 8-sided, the octagon, another polygon, but it's also a hypercube. And it's literally the geometry of time travel. This is a 4th dimensional shape. It doesn't actually exist here. We can't touch it or, you know, perceive it. We can't conceptualize really of this shape. What we're going to do today, and what a lot of us do, is we can play with the shadow of it, right? You know how you can shine the light through the geometry and you get a different image, you get the 2D image. So we're going to draw the 2D image, and then you're going to see what a 4D image is. We've got the 3D, but the idea of this class is to bust open your perceptual capacity a little bit, right? So we're asking about, you know, to contemplate dimensions beyond this one, and whether it's a 4th or 5th or 8th or 22nd, whatever. The fun part of this shape is that you start to, you know, it's a new take on new neural pathways, right? There's this invitation to see geometries a little bit different from different perspectives, and then the implication being, oh my gosh, where else in my life have I limited, you know, cool information because of my perceptual rigidity, right? So it's just the larger implication and invitation of perceptual shift inspired by a geometry. So I love this. We're gonna look at some images, and I'm gonna read some channeled information about the high vibrational nature of the Tesseract. This is some fabulous channeled information from some of our cosmic brothers and sisters. And so, you know, I'm a big proponent of the geometry as the universal language of math, of these shapes being given to us. And this is nothing new, right? A Wrinkle in Time, it's one of my favorite books. They redid it, I don't know, a decade or so ago. And the first line in the book and the movie is, the Tesseract is real. Time travel is real. That technology exists. We have been kept from it, you know, but all of this stuff is real. Everything that we consider sci-fi in terms of being able to travel the universe, it exists. We don't have it. So as we contemplate this, we're bridging to that more futuristic reality where we can traverse the universe, whether it's in our Merkaba, our star tetrahedron, or there's some type of like literal physical device. It's very possible. And you know, the Avengers movies have it all over the place. The Tesseract, it's how the bad guys come in through the portal into our, you know, dimension. So we're not making this up. This is not a stretch. This is real stuff. And we're just playing around with the expansion. So we'll look at them, we'll read a couple of things, and then we'll get into drawing it. And then we'll see where we are on the other side of things. I've got 2 options depending on how much time we have. And then next week, we're going back into the 64 star tetrahedron. So this is sort of the last of the polygons. Oh, wait, we might do 9s too. Anyway, we'll be right here right now. So let me get the screen share going on for the Tesseract, which is so much fun. There's my email for a second. And you know, again, the invitation, there's lots and lots to see in these geometries, right? And so, you know, allowing yourself to kind of go in for a minute and sort of leave the preoccupation bits of life, like leaving them, like letting yourself so fully immerse in seeing the different geometries that you can let go of the stressors and requirements of life for just a hot second. And so maybe you can see the 4 cubes. Maybe it, it takes a minute for your brain to play around with the idea. But for the tesseract, in geometry and physics, the tesseract is the 4-dimensional analog of the cube, right? So the tesseract is to the cube as the cube is to the square. And just as the surfaces of this cube consist of 6 square faces, the hexagon, the hypersurface of the tesseract consists of 8 cubical cells, or 8 faces. We're just going to play around with seeing them. And let yourself trip out on this, right? Let yourself get a little bit uncomfortable, a little scrambled in the brain, because as far as you go into this, when you come back, that's how refreshed you'll feel. So the top one is close to an animation of the 4th dimensional shape, and then shining the light below it, that's the one we're going to draw, and we're going to draw it in a really pretty sequence. But for now, we're still with the information here. So the tesseract is the 4th dimension, while the cube represents the physical or 3rd dimension. In the 4th dimension, there are multiple realities which are going on simultaneously. There is no such thing as time in the 4th dimension. The tesseract, or the hypercube, transcends time and place and can hold multiple definable locations and appearances, right? So we think the construct of time is real. It is woven into every aspect of our reality, and we can't actually really conceive of a reality without time. So this geometry, the 4th dimension, there is no such thing as, once you get past the 3rd dimension, time is a binding construct. We can be liberated that by playing with geometry. But the truth of the matter is that if you're going to call something time, it's simultaneity, right there. It's all happening at once, and we really have a hard time contemplating that. So this is an invitation just to get a little crack in the door for the idea that something else really exists. So let's see here. It's always good to do that. So I want to show this little video. I think that when my headset is plugged in, there's no sound. So I'm going to shift, my audio will change, but we're going to watch this and just tell me if you can't hear it. At first it's kind of quiet, but Leanne, I have you in my camera. So could you just give me a thought? Can hear it when I play it, and we'll go from there. Can you hear it okay? Not yet. I should.
I would like to suggest that when you share it, check the little checkbox at the bottom that includes share audio, and then the audio should come right through.
I have that done. It's usually totally fine. So share audio on the audio settings.
When you're in the share settings and you're selecting your screen to be done, before hitting the green share button, there should be a checkbox in the opposite corner.
Okay, share computer sound. This is kind of always on, so I don't know why this happens.
Where everything has length, width, and height.
Great.
But what if...
All right, here we go. Are you hearing it?
Yes.
Awesome, thanks, Ben.
we live in a 3-dimensional world where everything has length, width, and height. But what if our world were 2-dimensional? We would be squashed down to occupy a single plane of existence, geometrically speaking, of course. And what would that world look and feel like? This is the premise of Edwin Abbott's 1884 novella, Flatland. Flatland is a fun mathematical thought experiment that follows the trials and tribulations of a square exposed to the 3rd dimension. But what is a dimension anyway? For our purposes, a dimension is a direction, which we can picture as a line. For our direction to be a dimension, it has to be at right angles to all other dimensions. So a 1-dimensional space is just a line. A 2-dimensional space is defined by 2 perpendicular lines, which describe a flat plane, like a piece of paper. And a 3-dimensional space adds a 3rd perpendicular line, which gives us height and the world we're familiar with. So what about 4 dimensions, and 5, and 11? Where do we put these new perpendicular lines? This is where Flatland can help us. Let's look at our square protagonist's world. Flatland is populated by geometric shapes ranging from isosceles triangles to equilateral triangles to squares, pentagons, hexagons, all the way up to circles. These shapes are all scurrying around a flat world, living their flat lives. They have a single eye on the front of their faces, and let's see what the world looks like from their perspective. What they see is essentially one dimension, a line. But in Abbott's Flatland, closer objects are brighter, and that's how they see depth. So a triangle looks different from a square, looks different from a circle, and so on. Their brains cannot comprehend the third dimension. In fact, they vehemently deny its existence because it's simply not part of their world or experience. But all they need, as it turns out, is a little boost. One day, a sphere shows up in Flatland to visit our square hero. Here's what it looks like when the sphere passes through Flatland from the square's perspective. And this blows his little square mind. Then, the sphere lifts the square into the third dimension, the height direction where no Flatlander has gone before, and shows him his world. From up here, the square can see everything. The shapes of buildings, all the precious gems hidden in the earth, and even the insides of his friends, which is probably pretty awkward. Once the hapless square comes to terms with the third dimension, he begs his host to help him visit the fourth and higher dimensions. But the sphere bristles at the mere suggestion of dimensions higher than 3 and exiles the square back to Flatland. Now, the sphere's indignation is understandable. The fourth dimension is very difficult to reconcile with our experience of the world. Short of being lifted into the fourth dimension by a visiting hypercube, we can't experience it. But we can get close. You'll recall that when the sphere first visited the second dimension, he looked like a series of circles that started as a point when he touched Flatland, grew bigger until he was halfway through, and then shrank smaller again. We can think of this visit as a series of 2D cross-sections of a 3D object. Well, we can do the same thing in the third dimension with a 4-dimensional object. Let's say that a hypersphere is the 4D equivalent of a 3D sphere. When the 4D object passes through the third dimension, it'll look something like this. Let's look at one more way of representing a 4-dimensional object. Let's say we have a point, a 0-dimensional shape. Now we extend it out 1 inch, and we have a 1-dimensional line segment. Extend the whole line segment by 1 inch, and we get a 2D square. Take the whole square and extend it out 1 inch, and we get a 3D cube. You can see where we're going with this. Take the whole cube and extend it out 1 inch, this time perpendicular to all 3 existing directions, and we get a 4D hypercube, also called a tesseract. For all we know, there could be 4-dimensional life forms somewhere out there, occasionally poking their heads into our bustling 3D world and wondering what all the fuss is about. In fact, there could be whole other 4-dimensional worlds beyond our detection, hidden from us forever by the nature of our perception. Doesn't that blow your little spherical mind?
Wow, I love that.
The little, at the end, the spheres, he's like, oh, I just feel like that, like, where are you all, you know? But that last line, you know, limited by our perceptions, right? It's so true. And I mean, I think that, you know, to a large extent, this is part of what psychedelics, you know, gift us with, is that this perceptual opening, right? Like, we're so limited. So this is a really nice, gentle way of just, you know, shaking things up. And the videos that I share, honestly, I was just reflecting, because there's 2 and I watch them all the time with the classes. I don't think my brain really gets it. Like, I don't think my sort of left brain can really conceptualize of it, but I know this to be true so intuitively and other dimensional realities. I just kind of watch my brain have a hard time with the rotation and the spin. You'll see another video and down the road a little bit where no matter how many times I show it, I'm just like, I can't, it's hard, like it hurts my brain. So that's hopefully going to happen. I think if your brain is a little achy, it's because you're using it in new ways. So, all right, I love that little video. And I'm just going to read a couple more things. So the truth of all of it is that the hypercube, or 8-fold geometry, is a vibrational waveform signature. So we can say that it is the spirit or astral dimension which coexists simultaneously with the physical level of reality. Right? We're starting to touch on the different, the astral, the Akash, all of the things that are beyond our waking reality. And yes, this is supposed to twist your mind in knots. Don't worry or think too much about it. Just accept that the hypercubes are the angels of the mathematical world, right? They're connecting to spirit. So I gotta get rid of this one because it's a hypercube, but it's more about the tetrahedron in there. But it's cool. All right. So it is no coincidence that the eightfold geometry holds the information of multiple important elements relating to sacred geometry, harmonics, physics, chemistry, and spirituality. If an individual chooses to look within her or himself, they can use this knowledge for alchemical processes relating to spiritual development and unlocking vast resources of energy potential. So it's very much like the dodecahedron, right? Or the what was the other one we were doing with the energy? Just the vector equilibrium, all of them, or the pentagon, right? Like starting to harness the energy, starting to harness the invisible, using a sense of alchemy, using the geometry to blend and incorporate the seen and the unseen, right? And so this is just another angle of that. And I had one other thought that it's just a different doorway into the spirituality. And so I like to, we've got I think I lost a thought that'll come back in a second, but it's another way of bringing the different elements together, different dimensional elements. So yes, it represents the cosmic intelligence and cosmic knowledge of all that is. It is the cosmic intelligence that is able to shape, sculpt, and transform all elements. By going into the center of yourself, you will be able to use and apply the intuition and spiritual consciousness to evolve and grow. This spiritual intelligence that the 8-star conveys is the realization of a process that is occurring outside of worldly time. Right? So just contemplating a reality outside of time, just contemplating a fourth dimensional shape is opening your reality. Even if it doesn't go any farther, just to go, oh, that's what I learned for a minute. It's still a hot second of a new potential, So this is the awakening of a divine process that flow throughout all creation. As humans collectively remember what is beyond the material and temporal, they are acquainted and anointed with the true essence which sits in the pineal gland of the brain. This is the gland which is the center of true intelligence and knowledge, and by activating this gland, humans are able to be connected to the original essence. This is, I don't know, somewhere in the Netherlands, I think there's actually a Tesseract at the top of a mountain because somebody knows something. But lastly, it is through this stillness and receptivity that true knowledge and wisdom can arise. And thus we close part 8, the eightfold geometry, by saying that it is within you and not outside of you, for you are all things and you are simply remembering what you had forgotten. So, again, it's using the geometry for spiritual practice, for self-evolution, for expansion, however you want to say it. But these shapes are portals, they're doorways, there's so much more, and I love it when folks are like, yeah, well, I'm taking a sacred geometry class. Oh, well, it's a portal into my infinite potential. It's just really tricky. People don't, it's not just a drawing class. There's so much in here. So we're going to get into playing with perception. And I know Leanne, Zabby, you might remember, but I think Leanne, you've done these before where you're playing with the cubes, and it'll be curious to see how it goes for you because you've seen it a time or two, and every time it seems different. I watch my brain be different with it, so I hope it is for you as well. And let's see, we're going to get into, these are some of the different expressions of it, right? It's this folding cube. It moves, we can animate it, but it moves within itself, and like technically it would go smaller than this. It would go smaller and then expand way more open, but this this is a way of folding time, if you will. And it's really hard to explain, but this is a very dynamic shape that we can understand more when we think about it like a fluidity and think about it in motion, right? It's a little hypnotic, can't look at it too long. So we're going to do an exercise where we're going to look at a cube, right? And at some point it will look like the bottom left corner is prominent, and then it will flip and look like the face of the cube is the top right corner is prominent. And we're going to I'm going to give us a couple minutes. We're just going to breathe and watch what happens, right? So playing around with the two different colors of the cube, you'll see that either the light lavender will be prominent up and to the right, or the dark purple, whichever color it looks like, will be to the bottom left. And so just bring in the witness, use your breath. We'll take a couple deep breaths. I'll jump in to remind you, and we're just going to watch. We're just going to watch what our brains do with it. So take a nice deep breath and connect with your body, and just sort of allow the process of staring and seeing what happens. Deep breath, and see if you can play with controlling the visual experience. Or seeing what happens when you release control. One more deep breath. All right, so I'm going to come out of screen share. What was that like? Every time I watch that thing, it's just so cool. There's so many different things. What was that like for you guys? What was your experience?
I found that the closed box or the dark one was the dominant one, and I had a hard time holding on. I could get to the open box, which was the gray, but it would go back real quick, and it would go. I couldn't equal them out.
Yeah.
So that's what and then this is a random thought, is I saw, I was working out and they had a wellness video, and there's some sort of treatment to calm a person's brain where you look at the big picture and then you focus on something small. And so that I was thinking of that also. I don't know what kind of treatment that's called. Anyway.
Oh, I'm curious about that. Yeah, I like that idea, though it feels smart for managing it, because it focuses you so much that the anxious stuff would fall away. I love that. And I've tried to play with, like, I'm gonna hold on to the dark one, and I just can't, and that's the thing. That's the sparks the, like, wait, what is, who's in charge here? Anybody else have a curious time with that?
So I think in graphic design, like higher contrast, I guess, because it's the white background, so the dark one, the navy, would advance, and then the lower contrast, which is the purple one, recedes to the background. So I kept seeing the navy coming forward, but the line was smartly, like, the lighter line was over the dark line. So if you focus on those 2 points, then you can trick your brain to see the light purple come forward. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Very
like
cool.
that.
I just recently, someone pointed out that the light purple, I call it purple, like purple and dark purple, whatever it is, that it's in front of the dark line. And so, but that's part of it, but still our brains go back and forth, like regardless of the technical piece of which one's prominent. And it's just, it's so interesting to watch that ocular switch up, you know, just back and forth. So very cool. Thanks, Kaori. Yeah. Anybody else have an observation or reflection? No. All right. Sabby, are you saying something? You're just not unmuting yourself, or what's it kind of looks like you are?
I'm just wowing because it was like I didn't really want to speak, but I guess I'm speaking right now. It was interesting because at first I was like, is it supposed to do something? And then the longer I stared and the more deeper I breathed, it was switching. And then you said to try to control it. And so I did, and I was able to hold on to the second cube longer. But then, yeah, like Leanne was saying, it would just switch right back. And then it kept playing with me, like going back and forth. And like my eyes were kind of crossing a little bit. I was like, wow, this is what's supposed to be happening. It was so weird.
That's awesome. Oh, that's great. No,
Yeah.
it's just it's so unique, you know, to everybody's experience. And the thing that it piques my curiosity with, you know, who's running the show, right? Like our brains are so amazing, and you know, we that terrible statistic of like 90% of our waking reality is governed by our subconscious mind. So it gives us a teeny insight into the other content manager here. You know? So yeah, just a glimpse though, just to shake it up. Thank you. Joni or Ben, any thoughts before? There's just tons of this. That was just the beginning. Yeah.
I don't know if you saw me laughing at myself because I was watching the thing and I was trying to make the gray or purple, the light one come out. And in order to make it be the dominant, I had to not look at the lines. But the second I shifted my eyes, or what was actually making me laugh was the second I blinked my eyes, it reset. Everything just reset. And the black one became the dominant one just that quickly.
It's so
I had to
fast
refocus
too.
to get it to come back.
Oh, that's great. That's so great. It's kind of matrixy. It's like a little bit of a glitch. Like you see the glitch places.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Thanks, Joni. And Ben gave us a thumbs up. So we'll just keep playing with a couple different, you know, we call them optical illusions, but it's an invitation to go, wait, where is my perception locked up? What am I used to seeing? And what might I see a little differently? And how could I do this in my world? How could I shake things up a little bit to challenge a usual way that I'm in habit of thinking or seeing? You know, are there ways, you know, like brushing your teeth, if you're right hand dominant, brushing your teeth with your left hand, or just, you know, or vice versa, whichever one's your dominant hand, just to shift into that neuroplasticity, just to open up, because once you play around, like you're opening up to so much potential that we're cut off from. This is the limitation of the 3D construct. We're just, there's a little bit of or a lot of magic that that we don't access. There's just so much potential and so much creativity. And the idea is that when we're looking at a fourth dimensional shape, we are inviting that expansion. I think I'm saying it over and over again. I think you guys get the idea. And I just really like this one. It's like a heptagon and a little bit of an, you know, octagon somewhere in there. And I just, there's all sorts of geometry in there. I just love. I thought I'd throw it in. And we're not going to draw it in the boring way. Like you could mathematically line up the cubes and then connect red lines, right? But we're going to draw it in a way that is really pretty, that gives you opportunity at most stages for really pretty art, right? So we're going to do it the pretty way. And that's Carl Sagan piece that we're not going to watch. Now, here's the video that breaks my brain a little bit just before we get into drawing. We'll just scramble it for a minute and then we'll get right into it. So here we go. It should work now because we've got the setting. I think we had the setting. I don't know. This one's loud and obnoxious. Oh.
You're watching this on a flat, two-dimensional computer monitor.
Leanne, can you thumbs up, please?
Yet we accept this picture as a representation of 3 dimensions displayed on a two-dimensional monitor. In 3 dimensions, it is not possible to have 4 axes, each of which is 90 degrees to the other 3. Yet as with 3 dimensions on a two-dimensional monitor, we can accept that this is a representation of 4 dimensions. Skeptical? You're watching this on a flat, two-dimensional computer monitor. Yet we accept this picture as a representation of 3 dimensions displayed on a two-dimensional monitor. In 3 dimensions, it is not possible to have 4 axes, each of which is 90 degrees to the other 3. If you remove any one of the 4 axes, you will go back to 3 axes, each of which is 90 degrees to the other 2. If you remove any one of the 4 axes, you will go back to 3 axes, each of which is 90 degrees to the other 2. If you remove any one of the 4 axes, you will go back to 3 axes, each of which is 90 degrees to the other 2. Therefore, each of the 4 axes is 90 degrees to each of the other 3.
All right. So that one, every time my brain hurts. And I got it a little bit more this time. Did anybody just get a little frazzled watching that, or does it just make easy sense? I don't know.
Yes, I couldn't follow. I was trying to even concentrate on one color and try to follow, and no.
Yeah.
Same, I couldn't just conceptualize it, like I see what you're saying, but then I was thinking, like, if the fourth dimensional being is watching us trying to, understand, they will be probably laughing, like, oh, look at them, they're so cute.
I know, right? I mean, it's yes, and it's funny and it's also sad. But yeah, I think I said that I teach my Monday night here at the college too, and I was like, very same point, Kaori. I was like, if we could actually see what was going on, like there's just so much more, how many benevolent beings are here, just excited that we're doing this. It's a great point. Yeah. I think that's it for the videos. I think we're going to get into drawing. Let me see if there's anything else. I think that's the end. Yeah, it just breaks my brain. Oh, I was going to show you a little bit of arts, right? Some of the different ways to express the eightfold, the hypercube, right? You see a lot of this kind of patterning in Muslim and Islamic worlds, sorry. And this is the shape. You'll see we can pause at this point and it's its own like beautiful pattern. And you can see it would be the octagram, right? The star in the center. And so it's just another beautiful repeating pattern, right? How the polygons fit together and come up, with new designs and patterns. The quilters were really onto it, I guess I should say. But just, starting to see the geometrical nature of different art pieces, different cultures, and, getting a little bit more curious about how it has shown up in the history of, society, culture, how we interpret our world, cosmology, how geometry factors in. Okay. All right, so we'll do some drawing. We'll get into it. We are just standard operational procedure. We're going to do landscape orientation, and then we are going to, let me see, let me tell you the radius of the compass here. I did actually write it down, although it's a little wonky here. Let's go. All right. Oh, it's so big. Oh, geez, what's going on? I wonder what's happening. Let me get out of this and then open it up again. Let's try to do this. Oh, I don't know. I'm gonna have to close it out. It's being wonky. All right, here we go. I think that your compass width is going to be 2.5 inches. Well, nope, sorry. Yeah, 2.5 inches wide. And then, oh wait, Tesseract is its own class. No, but it is sequencing. No, it's got its own class. Sequencing the Tesseract. Here we go. All right, so we are 2.5 inches wide on the radius, which will give us a 5-inch diameter. Now, this is another circle that, a whole drawing that you want to do really lightly, really lightly. So go ahead and measure to the center of the page, and you can make an approximate horizontal line. You can get nice and precise however you'd like to do it. I have skipped 2 steps and put them together here. So we want the horizontal line, and then in the center of the page, you want your first circle, and you can label that circle A. And again, my slides are a little bit light, so because you're going to erase, but it'll hopefully remind you to draw really light. It's just easier to erase. And there's no way to emotionally prepare for the erasing. But most of the shape does get lost in the evolution. So we've got a horizontal line and then 2.5-inch radius. So we get a 5-inch wide circle. You could actually go a little bit bigger, but that's the one that keeps the page, keeps the shape mostly on the page. So, all right, we've got our center circle. We're going to do a ton of letters. We're going to go all the way up to S for all of our coordinates. And I've got, looks like heads are up. We've got our circles complete. Okay, so we've got circle number A in the center, letter A. And then you're going to take the intersection point on the right with the horizontal line in the circle, and you're going to create your second circle B, the nice little label in there. So we've got A and B on the horizontal axis. Right? And then we're going to do the same thing on the left side with the intersection of the horizontal line and the circle on the left side, and that's going to be circle C. And just tell me if I go too fast at any point. You have to jump in audio though, because I can only see 4 of you at one time. It looks like we've got it. All right, all 3 circles, A, B, and C. Now that's given us these 4 intersections, right? So we're going to label those different intersections. On the top left, it's D, top right is E, bottom right is F, bottom left is G. So we're getting the shape from the shape, right? And we're gonna do that, that step that we're getting used to doing is we're going to put the compass on point E first, and then compass width stays the same. Compass point goes on E, and you make a little hash mark where the approximate vertical line would be. And then you're going to go to the left side and do the other hash mark, so that you get X marks the spot up there. So finding the coordinates from the shape, you're going to do the same thing on the bottom. Although technically you don't need to. You could just go through the center line, through point A, right? But if you just do the same thing on the bottom, compass point goes at F and makes a little hash mark, and then compass point goes on G and makes a little hash mark. And then we want the vertical line. That'll give us the coordinates for the vertical line. And I made those top hash marks, the top and bottom hash marks, I and H. And we don't need them except to keep the sequence of letters accurate. So those, you're just connecting those points through center point A, giving yourself a nice vertical axis. And the important part of that is that it gives us point J, where the vertical line intersects with the middle circle. And then down below is K, where the vertical line intersects with the bottom of the circle. Okay, looking good. All right, thumbs up, here we go. Looks like we got it. So then that gives us our next compass points. So you're going to put your compass on J, and it's going to give you that beautiful top circle above the horizon. And your compass point is going to go on point K down below, and you'll give yourself the fourth circle. So we've gone from 3 circles into, well, a total of 5, but 4 central circles for a full 4-fold geometry. Usually we are working with 6-fold. And so this is a different angle into dividing space and time, right? This is the place where our conscious minds think we're drawing a shape, and the rest of us are like, oh yeah, fire up the machine, you know, get on board. So we've got all 4. Looks like we've got that. Okay, so now what we're doing is we're going to label the outer tips of the petals that we've made. So on the top left, that's going to be L. On the top right, that intersection is M. On the bottom right, the letter is N. And on the bottom left, that letter is O. So we've got 4 new intersection points. L, M, N, and O. Great. Tell me if I'm going too fast. We're going to open the compass. Oh, sorry. No, we're not there yet. We're going to use those diagonal axes. We're going to use L and N to bisect on the left diagonal. And then we're going to use O and M to bisect on the right, both of those lines going through that center point of A. And we're cruising through this. I think, you know, these start to get kind of fun, you know, at any stopping point. It's very artistic, and lots of different patterns we can do things with. So we've got the vertical, horizontal, and then the right and left axes. So far, so good. Still need a donut, by the way. Could really use a donut. Haven't had dinner. Really could go for a donut. You know, Portland has such great donuts. Sedona does not have donut selection like you guys have up there. Okay, so we got all of the lines, right? Okay, now we're going to open the compass. So we're going to place the compass on A, and then we're going to open it to the intersection of M. Sorry, the letter M, the intersection of the circles out there. You're going to open it that wide, and then you're going to give yourself a beautiful second ring circle. So just using that diameter, radius, creating another ring, another circle, just extending to the points of the intersection. All right, we've got that. It's kind of a lovely, cool geometry in and of itself. All right, and then what we're doing, those are the circles. Now we're drawing, oopsies, we got to label some more letters here. So that circle has just given us point P up here, just above J, right? So that on the vertical axis, in that new circle, you've got P. Over on the right, you've got Q, where that intersection has just occurred. Down on the bottom, you've got R. And over on the left, you've got point S. Nice and light, if we remembered that, but no problem if not. All right, what else we got here? No, we don't want that. Okay, great. So now we're finished with the circle pieces. We're going to get a little more linear and go into some squares, right? So this is, we're turning in, here's the concretization of a fourfold. We're making a cube. We're going to connect P, Q, R, and S. We're just connecting the points we just made, right? This is a nice, still a square, not really dimensional at this point. So a diamond's top point P connects down to Q, Q down to R, R up to S, and S up to P. This geometry is not a closed polygon. This is an open polygon, meaning you cannot start and stop at the same end, just like we did with the heptagon and the octagon. This is a different shape entirely. All right, we got our cube. Working on it. Okay, great. Got it. Looking good. Okay. Now we're going to do the same thing. All right, stepping back, having a look at it. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to connect on a more horizontal axis. We're going to connect L to M to N to O, back up to L. We're going to make a cube or a square on the horizontal plane, right? So now we've got two squares. So you've got that eightfold geometry. We've just created an octagon, right? This is an 8-sided polygon. And then we're going to do the polygram on the inside. We're going to do the stars, but we're going to have to erase first. It's true. But this, you know, I feel like this has a lovely, like, architectural blueprint feeling. Like all of these different stages have their own kind of cool design place. And if you would like, this is a fun place to take a picture before we erase the whole thing, and it has a very different feeling. So I like to, you can't remember all of the lines once you see the next geometry. So it's kind of fun to be able to remember how you built it. And it's also, you know, its own cool thing. So, oh, excuse me. All right. Got that. Yep. All right. Looks like we've got pictures taken. So then I apologize. We're going to erase everything except the two squares. Everything else. That's all we're going to do. And you can do it two ways. You can do it, you could darken in the squares now, right? Make them nice and dark, and then just do a huge sweeping erase and then redraw them. Or you can do the detailed line work around and inside in whatever way works most appealingly for you. I used to show clips of A Wrinkle in Time. I don't know why I stopped doing that, but I think we had precious time for other things. But, you know, I think the idea of time travel has fascinated us for a long time, and it really does exist. We've just been kept from us for various reasons. God only knows what we could do if we could time travel, what kind of mischief there would be. I'm going to come out of screen share just because it's more fun to see everybody. So erasing everything except those two squares. And that gives us, I can put it back up if you'd like. It's also fun to see everybody. I was at the college, so it's Monday, I teach this class to a group of ladies at the school. And it was very unusual. They took so long erasing, like literally we were hanging out for 10 minutes erasing, which is a much longer time than usual. And it was just we've turned into like a geometry society kind of class where we're just sort of so like appreciating and enjoying even the erasing process, right? Like maybe that's its own kind of time travel of just erasing the past. Like so much kind of like delectable phases of the shape. Kiori, did you erase already? And if so, how fast? How did you do that so fast?
Well, I did it really faintly, and I like the blueprint look anyway. So
Mhm.
I'm sorry, I'm just decided not to erase it.
That happens too. And that's the best part is you'll have the PDF, you'll have the video, you go back and see how the rest of it turns out. Because it's not far. And I just thought you had erased awfully fast. So I had to ask, like, nope, not doing it. I like it. So I love I've had a lot of different artists in the class over the years, and the geometry is so complementary to different forms of art. You know, it's the different pieces, different styles. And so I had a friend to oh, nice. Ben just went straight for the using the 8 points, puncturing 8 points into the next page, and then you don't have to erase, so you still have the template. Nice, great idea, Ben. I had a woman who did mosaics, like really flowy, just no structural no structure. It was just, you know, eyes. She did a lot of eyes and flowers, and then she took the class and it just restructured her art entirely. And she still did the mosaics, but they had the geometric patterns, and it just took on a very different life form. So just so complementary. Life form or life. That's so great, Ben. I don't think I've ever. Oh yeah, Kaori, what were you
Oh,
saying?
sorry. I'm a graphic designer too, and that's kind of why, like in the first place, I missed the first class, so I didn't get to introduce. But in the first place, I wanted to take this class was because I wanted to know we use such a basic geometry for logo and like layout and stuff. So I knew it would benefit me immensely, and I can see how people use it for magic power, because it really is super powerful to have that like foundation, and then as a grid, like then you can't go wrong with color, everything. So yeah.
Right. It just enhances the harmonics, you know, and once you have more of a sense of that proportion balance in the background, then it comes out as your creations are happening. So I do the template with puncturing through on the points with all the other geometries. I've never done it with this one, Ben. That's fascinating. Thank you for the reminder that we could do it that way. The other thing, in terms of the not the crop circle that we did, but another geometry is I can't remember which one it was. We drew a formation that where a circle was divided into 18 segments, right? And so we just busted out the protractors. I feel like I experienced a whole new world with protractors because I'm so used to getting into all of the geometries, kind of the old school hard way. And a protractor really just shortcuts all of it. So that's another way to do it. All right. So how are we doing with the erasing? We good? We got just those. Here, let me put it up. All right, got a couple thumbs. Joni, how's it going? You got the cubes? All right, Zabby, looks like we've got it. Cool. So everybody's got this. And then we're going to come back with some more alphabets. And you kind of want this to be dark, but also we're going to erase a little bit more. So alphabet here at this top intersection, right? It's at about, what is that? Like about 12:30, 1 o'clock. That top intersection is going to be A, and then you're going to go counterclockwise up to H, and really light, because these are only to find your points and find your way with the octagram, the stars inside. We've got all 8 points, right? And then we're just going to be cross gridding. All right, so we're going to connect on the vertical, A down to D, H down to E, which will look like this. So I've got the connection points up above, and then you can see it ends up with that octagram. I'm trying to get all of it in the screen. Yeah, there you go. So A down to D, H down to E, and you're going to do the horizontal axis, the vertical, the right and left vertical, and then also the oopsies, right and left diagonal, and then the vertical as well. And this is so fun because we've got the octagon on the outside. Now we're doing the octagram. We're doing the stars. The grams are where the lines cross over each other. And then doing this octagram is going to give us another octagon in the center, which will give us the points for another octagram. So this is a fractalizing repeating pattern, right? It's self-repeating, and it gives us the coordinates every time for the next shape. That's the pattern we see like in all of the sacred geometries, is we don't have to add anything in. We're just simply using the shapes and finding the measurements within the shape. Just so cool. It just keeps getting, that's the thing is, I mean, it's a little over a decade and it just keeps getting cooler. And then, you know, that's also the nature of studying magic and mystery, is there's no end to it. You know, there's no end. I mean, once you begin to conceptualize of dimensional realities, I mean, then pretty soon you're off into parallel realities and simultaneity, and then, you know, contemplating yourself as an infinite being with really infinite numbers of aspects, often different realities, doing different, you know, good deeds. And sky's the limit here. Infinity is the limit. That didn't work at all. So we've got the hexagram. Nope. Okay, so gotta breathe. Yeah, nice deep breath together. So you have your octagram, and now on the inside, you've given yourself these new 8 points, right? So we're just repeating again and again. Now this is on the inside. These intersections of your star might help to darken them in, because that's going to give the new cross sections for the inner octagram, right? So you've given yourself, you've created these little 8 points. And so, you know, you can stop anytime, but we're just going to get ourselves down to the Tesseract. And we're going to start to open up into some dimensionality for the shape. Right now, we're kind of locked into the 2D, and we're going to pop it into the 3D, which is as close as we can come to the 4D. And then you can get into all sorts of conversations about the shifting of human consciousness into 3D to 5D, and the difference between our carbon-based DNA into crystalline-based DNA. Just go on, and I'm just talking. Jump in anytime if you've got thoughts or reflections. We've got all 8 points now. We've got our inside hexagram. What is my brain doing? Octagram. All right, all 8 points. And then you can see in here, we're not going to do it because we're going to stop and open things up. You've got the next octagon in here that could give you the next octagram. It's just going to keep repeating. It gets really, the points get off if you keep going in, but we're not doing that. We're going to go back out into the Tesseract. So what we're going to do now is we're going to erase that internal octagon, right? So you've got these lines, the lines I've highlighted, you have in there. It's a big stop sign in the center, and you want to erase those lines. The ones that I've highlighted, open those squares up where the lines right now bisect those inner squares, and we want to take that out. That's going to give us some more dimensionality. Going to help us see that inner octagram as well. It kind of highlights that shape, and then your shape will look like this so far, right? We've erased that inner octagon, so it starts to open it up into a little bit more like origami type folding, and you can start to see the different cubes here in the relationship. All right. Yeah. And then once you've got that, I don't want to rush. Looks like heads are still down. Detailed erasing a little bit. Yeah, okay. looking good. So now the last step, pretty sure it's the last step, is we're just going to erase the outer points, all 8 points on the outside. And then that gives you the tesseract. So all of the 8 points that are around the boundary, you're just going to erase those. And then that's it. Your final shape. Kind of comes out at you at the very end, sort of building from, back engineering. You can, you can sharpen up some of the lines and connect them and really make the difference. There's 8 cubes. You can make them pop with the sharpening and the darkening in the lines. And doing this one with color, it's like the flower of life. It's the choice of which cube to aspect kind of cuts off the other cubes. So that's the one reason I don't like to color too much. I just leave the shape because then you can see all of them. You don't limit yourself perceptually. Right. All right. We got it. Looks like maybe we got it. Behold the tesseract. All right, I'm coming out of screen share. I think we got it by now. Yeah. All right. So we'll just heads are still down, so we'll wait till everybody is ready, and then we'll do a little share and a go around. I think we're gonna have time for sonic geometry, which is gonna be fun. Oh.
It would be great to have the image on the screens for a moment
Back
longer.
one more time. Yep, here you go. There it is. You got, I think that was it. I think that, yep, that's the end of it. I love that you're drawing, Ben, with having the kiddos around and multitasking. I mean, that's the nature of mom and dad world, but still, it's impressive. And if you've got it, once you've got it, maybe taking a couple deep breaths and sort of feeling into it also, right? We've got the left brain creative following the steps, but then we can breathe and have, kind of that experiential shift in how you relate to the shape, right? Do you feel, do you notice any sensory experiences, right? Any perceptual shifts that you're aware of? Yeah. Observations about the unfolding of the geometry.
I can see it as I can see as 2-dimensional pattern, but also 3-dimensional. But I'm just having a hard time imagining like how to go from here to the 4th dimension.
Yeah, that's the thing. Would you be up for sharing it? Can we see yours?
Oh yeah.
That's the thing that we can't quite grasp, right? Is how to get to the 4th dimensional piece. Because this is only the shadow of it, right? Oh, it's so light. Oh, it's pretty. There you go. Yeah, a little closer. Can we do a little closer? I think that might. There you go. Ah, pretty. Yeah. So we can see, I'll show you, Carrie, here's the, where did that PowerPoint go? Did I make it go away? No. This is what we've drawn, right? So it's really hard to bring our brains up and extrapolate the 4D shape that is generating this, or that's the 3D shape, sorry. And then this is kind of as close as we can come to what the 4D would look like, right? It's hard. It's hard. That's the idea, is that drawing it. I don't know if did everybody see the image that I showed, or did we just see Kaori the whole time? Okay. Am I saying your name right? I feel like I say it different ways every time. That's okay. All right. Okay, great. Okay, so thoughts, observations, can we have shares going around? How was it?
It seems
like that shape could go on forever. Like
The polygons
inward.
can.
Yeah.
And outward, right?
Yeah. And it just is so complex. My brain is like, what the heck am I looking at? You know? And I remember drawing it last year.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
Yeah.
I was trying to explain sacred geometry to somebody this weekend. We were looking at this deck of cards that was in the shape of this, but they were like they weren't quite human design cards. They were something slightly different, but they had this sacred geometry, like flower of life embedded on it, but it was like eyes instead of Vesica Pisces. The Vesica Pisces were going the opposite way. And we went real deep in this conversation as we were writing down we were at this dream altar, and we were writing down our dreams that we had for the world. And after that, we had to tie the dream up on gold thread in the center of the room. And then at the end of the ceremony, she took the threads and just put them all in this giant crystal bowl of spring water. And we watched all the papers meld together and create this pulp that I was like, maybe she's going to make more paper from it. I don't know. And I went deep with this girl, and we talked about the flower of life and how all the shapes are found within it. And it was like, I felt so cool after that conversation with how much I knew.
That is so awesome.
Know this.
Yeah. I mean, it's all the cool kids. All the cool kids are doing it. Yeah. Another woman, I might have said this already, but she was somewhere up in, like, I don't know, the Adirondacks, right? Like just boondocks of northeastern area.
Wow.
And she was taking a workshop with someone, and they were using sacred geometry, like similar way in a ceremonial. And she just busted out with like, are we going to have Metatron's cube today? And the woman was just like, who are you? And how do you know about Metatron's cube? Because it's kind of the inside tip, you know, when you have, it's the structure of knowing that other things are going on, you know, and then you just start attracting the other people who are doing ceremonies with it and using it. I mean, that's the alchemy, right? Is you're just generating this massive potential that we otherwise don't tap, you know. Super cool. Was that like an eclipse? Like, oh, all of the offerings?
Yeah, it was the ceremony called Shine. It was for this lady's birthday, and she put on this thing, and she invited me to be a light carrier, and I was a light carrier in this ceremony, and I entered the ceremony with this globe of light and stood around with the rest of the light carriers. It was really beautiful. It was really sacred geometry in itself, and it was honoring all the elements, in particular water.
Yeah. Beautiful. Ooh, thanks for sharing. Big work.
Yeah.
Big work. All right. Did you want to share? Can we see your Tesseract? This is the heptagon that Zabby had that we didn't get to see last week. So is the one on the right, so you've got like a pentagon and a decagon on your left hand, right? And then the one on the right hand is a heptagon.
Yeah. And I got them both on the same day before I started this class. I think they were like birthday tattoos, and they're like super masculine, and I want to, you know, femme them out some with some curves. Yeah. I'll get to it, but it was just super painful.
Oh God, I bet. And I didn't see the other one because the heptagon is so dark, and then I didn't notice the pentagon because I think you're dominant right hand too, so I didn't ever see the left side with the pentagons and the decagons. Super cool.
Thanks.
Yeah,
this one's kind of Tesseracty now that I look at it.
It's pretty. It's moving, is what it's doing. That is really cool depth in there. Love it. It is kind of Tesseracty. It's a verb now. Tesseracting is a verb.
Tesseracting.
Well, it's to tesser. It is. It's actually like it's part of it is to tesser.
Oh,
cool. I know. So many levels. All right. Thank you, ma'am. Let's see. Leanne, how's it going? Joni, Ben, what's happening in your boxes?
My drawing's pretty messy, but I came to class messy, so I was kind of expecting that. I was not focusing, and I missed a couple steps. I'm super energized to do it again. I really enjoyed it, right? Good. So I mean, I don't know. I'm missing, but that's okay.
Yeah, I think if you just erase the outside triangles, right, then you've got it. Yeah, you got it. sometimes they get a little, yeah, we're not always spot on in our alignments, right?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
okay. I really enjoyed it.
Awesome. Leanne, here's my, I'm only going to invite it, but I really want you to do it. One of these times when we've got a shape, genuine or not, I just want you to go like, look at how awesome this is. Just want you to like pummel us with how awesome it is. And even better if it's not, if it's like,
Okay.
you just like show up and demand appreciation
Just
for how
okay.
awesome it is.
Okay. Fake it till you make it, right?
Fake it till you make it. And then one day you walk in a room and you're like, I am awesome. And the implications. Yeah, I want to see it. And you know what? Look at me talking all big. I got to do it too, right? Like I'll follow my own advice, So Zabby, Zabby's asking how we do the crop circle class. We just finished it this week, so it'll be another series. I'm just taking a little break. It's at some point, is it November now? Yeah, the annoying part is the holidays just hijack everything, and it's really hard to have classes during that. Like the series that are already going, you finish them up, you're committed. But starting something at this point, like I usually pick one up at the end of, on the beginning of the new year. But I will be doing them because, I didn't show you this. Hang on, they're just right over here. I think I showed you guys this last time. But this is so appropriate because it is actually a tesseract, but this was a crop circle, and I figured out how to back engineer it. You might not have seen it. Did you not? Zabby looks like she hasn't seen it, but this is its own party going on, but it's fun. It's because it is a tesseract actually. So working on, I drew it, but to sequence it for everyone is a whole different thing. So that's the next step. But I'll keep you posted, Zabby. I'll keep you I'll keep in touch about it. Joni, Ben, how's it going? What's happening in your corners there? Joni's jumping in.
I was trying to find the mute button. So I darkened my circles, or I darkened my my two squares, like really dark, like with my drafting pen.
Yeah.
So I couldn't go back and erase it. So thank you, Ben, for the reminder to put the points in. And I quickly redid my points, and now I have my Tesseract, and now I'm darkening it again, but I'm just midway through.
Oh, pretty. Yeah.
I like
Very
it.
cool.
This is a good one for me.
Ben, I think you've just completely opened up worlds with the templating again onto the next page. I'm so glad you got a second one though.
Me too, and it was so quick thanks to that tip. And now, so I'm right with everybody and enjoying it.
Cool. It's always there's always a few renegades that bust out the pens early.
Well, you said darken it, and I was like, "Ooh, I get to darken it." a little aggressive, but
well, but you got it, and that is very cool, and it's really pretty with the ink highlighting it. So very cool. Yeah,
thank you.
Yeah, Ben, how's it going? Did you get it?
Yes, I did. Let's see here.
Yeah, cool.
No, I don't know if you can see anything there. So this is the original, the one, like I said, our original work that we erased everything on, where I punctured the holes through.
Yeah.
So then that led to this.
Up a little.
Right when we were at this point, about to break it down to the next one, you were talking for just a moment long enough that I was able to draw, because I had the holes and was able to start again. I did it again, and then where we're at tonight.
Nice. Wow, you've been productive in there.
Just creating a few opportunities to try different variations.
Awesome. Super cool. Wow, that's a 3 for tonight. That's great. I'm so impressed that you've got kiddos running around and you're actually drawing. So that's a little mind blowing for me. So well done. Okay. So where are we at? We're at 7:30. This is what happens. It's like just it's a little shy. Which one are we going to do? I think we're going to do cymatics, because that's the one we ended up. It's tough. I've turned the class into a 10-week course because there's just so much material that I can't get it all in. So there's 2 things that get scrapped, but it's okay. We're taking the priorities. So we're going to look just for a minute. Is that what we're doing? Do we want to watch cymatics? We want to watch sonic geometry. we're doing cymatics. That's my feeling about it. So cymatics is the study of sound in form, right? It's the frequency tones that I talk about a lot. And we're just going to look for a moment at what I'm talking about in a screen share. But I think so, you know, speaking to those who have seen this before, the next level is that I've been working with dolphins and dolphin communication, and they're using cymatics to learn how dolphins talk to each other. So cymatics is measuring sound in different mediums, right? And so what I mean by that is using water, using fire, using different material elements to demonstrate sound. So basically putting frequencies up to, you know, underneath plates. And then when you play the frequencies, the geometry becomes evident. The harmonic structure of the sound or disharmony becomes evident in that material, like sand on a lead plate. And I'm going to play some of them here. Hopefully this works out. We're going to just look at this little video. I think the sound will work. It's quiet at first. It's just music the whole time. There's not talking. Can you guys hear the silly music? Okay, because you want to be able to hear the tones. That's all. I don't know how the ping pong ball is just sitting there. But right, so it matches the frequency and then it creates movement. You can see it measured, right? You start to be able to see the frequency by putting them to material. This one's pretty popular. You can see this. I bet I sound really skinny. No, I can't be quiet. It's just a way of bringing the immaterial into the material, right? Like the reason I like to talk about cymatics is because there are so many invisible frequencies bombarding us all the time, right? I mean, you know, from 5G to solar flares to radio frequencies, there's so much in our space that is being influenced, right? And so we have our own harmonic frequency. That's the 432. That's the resonance of our electromagnetic. And so many things are designed to fragment us. When you start tuning into frequency and using frequency to harmonize your system, you are you're using frequency without. So blowing into a Coke bottle has a certain frequency, and when you match it, it's movement. Somehow, kind of magic. It's fun. It's citizen science. You know, it's kind of fun. And it's all very much like the Tesseract, very much like the other geometries. It's like just bringing more into your picture, bringing the non-visible, bringing the energetic. It's powerful. It's life-changing. So he's using a laser to reflect off of different frequencies that are played. So right, this is laser shows. This is the whole deal behind concerts and raves where they're using music to create light shows and the relationship of that. This is one I don't really understand, but I also kind of understand. Sound and form. This is my favorite one. In the implications for us as water and how we are influenced with frequency. Think about EMFs from our phones. You know, it's so powerful. There's different frequencies in cities. So in the second, once the video's done, we'll see this kind of image, the colored, the different colored waters that are played, frequencies are played under, so you can see the geometry. See, you remember in the first class, the water crystals are hexagonal, right? They're subsided, so often you see different tones of construction. We've got water and air, and then I think the last one. And I wonder if you could do like different harmonic sounds, right? Different frequencies, and some would look dissonant. Just so much going on that we don't know. It's just, I mean, dimensional beings and frequencies, and it's just, you know, the purpose of the class, the purpose of the whole series is to really walk with more awareness of the influencer. Invisible influence. We got a little Burning Man hit here. Sound and play. Everything's on a frequency. Measure, reflect, and demonstrate.
How does that happen? Ah, all right.
There we go. All right, so oops, I popped out. So that's our video. Let me just show you a couple more things cymatically. This one is the one that strikes me. It's part of why I like to talk about this. So before the 40s, before the 1940s, instruments were tuned to a universal temperament of 432 cycles per second. And then and you can see 432, the resonance, the geometry on the left, the harmonics. And then just a couple notches away, you can see the image of 440. And I will come back into that to show you. So in the 40s, in World War II, Nazi Germany began exploring psychological warfare, occult secrets, how to manipulate humans in, new ways, essentially, new and effective ways. And at that point, universal tuning was shifted from 432 cycles per second to 440 cycles per second. And it is, that is an 0.08 degree of difference. But if you've got that subtle shift on that level, right, where like the harmonics have shifted, then you just keep adding in different subtle frequency, different subtle influence. And after a time, like in the aggregate, all of these different influences shift our frequencies into disharmony. And this is a really very effective way to shift humans and their electromagnetics, their balance, their harmonics, and their health, right? And so just slowly but surely, this chipping away at our electromagnetic coherence has influence. So when you start to really notice this, when you start to tune into how much frequency impacts us, then you can generate positive balanced frequencies in your life. You can, listen to the solfeggio frequencies in sound, these harmonic balanced. Leanne loves them. She's a testimony to them. She loves them. But it's like, if we imagine ourselves, right? If you imagine yourselves as we are 70% water, and you look at the difference in how the frequencies, impact us, it's just really powerful. And it's just, I just talked about that. It's, here's all the different tones in water, as just like you saw with the material in the little video, right? Different tones have different geometries, and you can start to see how everything that seems invisible is actually measurable and demonstratable, and pretty amazing, right? So here's the hexagons, right? So many hexagons in the geometries, in sound. Sound has geometry. It is just so cool. So I don't explain this well, but when I talk about sonic geometry, right? Part of how they're developing that technology is through what's called the cymoscope, right? It's a machine that measures different frequencies and then takes the frequencies and generates an image, right? So I'm not going to be able to explain it. They've used this technology to interpret the different pitches that dolphins speak at. So like all of these inaudible pitches that dolphins have that we just thought, clicks and whistles and dolphins and balls, and like we've just reduced them to so much flipperness. But these are extraordinary advanced beings, and so we're just being able to measure the inaudible ranges that they're communicating at. And so when you translate those tones into form, they did experiments where like they would have a dolphin and they would hold like a flower pot. They would hold a flower pot up, and then the dolphin would echolocate off of it, and you could interpret the tones, the clicks that it made, and the cymoscope can feed back that it's an image, right? So they can take the tones and they can translate them into seeing the dolphin, what the dolphin sees how it's seeing, right? And this is a way of learning how to map holographic communication. Like, this stuff is so far out, I can't possibly articulate the significance of when you start to use geometry in general, but the frequencies to interpret the different dimensions of reality that are here. I'm not going to be able to say it tonight. I'm just not articulate enough, but hopefully that little overview, it just tells you a little bit about how much invisible reality is present, right? And this idea of being able to blip in and out of time, or just space where there's other dimensional beings, as Kaori was saying, just parallel realities, like the implications for parallel Earth, parallel what is it, the not multiverse, the many worlds theory, right, where there's just an infinite number of worlds. It's all starts with this stuff. Does anybody have thoughts? We'll just take a couple minutes and then we'll finish up. That's a little bit of cymatics. Have you guys heard of cymatics before? Are you all familiar with the frequencies? Yeah, okay. We got Leanne and Zabby. They're professionals. They're seasoned veterans. And when I send the email with the PDFs, I'll send, some of my favorite frequency videos. They have them on YouTube. You can get the ones that are like 8 hours and they just play in the background. And I leave it on when I leave my cat in the house. It just softens everything. So it's like, if you've got to leave something alone, it's, there's sort of like stark empty space and they're alone, versus like, hey, there's a presence here with you. So thoughts or observations? Yeah,
Well,
Kaori.
I was just watching the video thinking like the Coca-Cola one, and I was like thinking like, wow, maybe, I might have a frequency, and then like that could push me in one direction. And then now you say that, yeah, there's a frequency, and they, like they changed it. And then that reminded me that my brother, when I visited him in Tokyo, Japan, he took me to Shibuya Crossing, the really, yeah, just off that, like there's a district that has like many, drinking places, and then like city doesn't want young people to be there. So he took me there. He's like much younger. And then said that, like, do you hear anything? I was like, well, no, nothing. Like, what should I be hearing? And then he said the city government broadcast frequency that can be only heard by young people, so they get disturbed and they don't want to be there without really knowing why. Like,
wow, yeah, wow, that's fascinating. That is, when you say young people, what is that like? What's the age of young people?
Below 20, I think.
Okay.
Something like that. 20 is the drinking age. Japan.
Okay, yeah. Fascinating approach. But like rodent control, right? There's frequencies that only rats can hear, right? And sonic control is a really great way of deterring. So it's real. It's kind of everywhere. That's fascinating about that in Japan. That just seems brilliant. Any other thoughts? Or I love it. Looks like people are drawing and listening. That is a great thing I love to do, by the way. I would draw and then put on like Bashar or Abraham or all of like the positive programming, and I would just like occupy my left brain, and the right brain would just be like absorbing all of that good, evolutionary information, and it's good stuff. So I can see some of you drawing while the cymatics video is going. It's so great. I want to see see how it's going. Are you guys coloring in the Tesseracts? All right, Ben, let me hang on a second. Let me spotlight it.
I decided for my brain that I would try some graph paper and see if I could draw the same one on very straight, orderly lines.
Nice. Did you trace it? How did you do it?
No, I just with a 2-inch square, just start with one square and 45-degree angle. It ends up being 2 1/4-inch squares here, but whatever. Just drew the line segments.
Beautiful. Does it feel a little sharper for you?
The pencil certainly is.
Okay. Well, it looks great. Does this mean that you've got like the bones of 4 Tesseracts in one class? That's impressive.
That sounds about right.
Awesome. Well, those are some good templates for drawing and, creating your own mandalas. Like we're basically just creating our own mandalas in these classes, liberating from, I bet, have you been drawing with your kids and doing any of the,
I would use the term creating art with my kids. Tonight I let her loose with my stencils, and so she was having fun.
oh, wait,
just
let's see.
doing,
Oh my gosh, hang on a second. I want to
yeah,
see.
she had like, there was like a United States one that she was doing, and there was
Very cool.
a rose that she was doing. There's a mermaid over here somewhere.
Love it. Totally love it.
I hear her
That's-
yelling downstairs.
Yeah. Awesome. Family affair. Cool. Thank you. 4 tesseracts, 4-sided geometry, 4 tesseracts, 8-sided geometry. Very cool. Hypercube. All right. So last thoughts or reflections about cymatics or tesseracts or parallel realities or donuts. That's fine too. Frankly, we're almost there. Oh my goodness. It's probably going to be dinner. It's going to be donuts. I'm looking at it. I was on a run for pancakes for dinner for a minute. Breakfast for dinner. It's always fun. All right, come on, you guys. Last thoughts. Let's do it.
I was having pancakes for dinner too.
Yeah, delicious.
Yeah, chocolate chip, strawberry, and blueberry.
Yeah, I was going strawberries and whipped cream. Yeah.
Yes.
Mhm.
Sounds so good.
Geniuses. All right, final thoughts on tesseracts or things, Debbie. What do you got? What did you?
I'm like, I have as much coloring as I've done. I've never gone back and pen because it just comes out so messy the few times that I've tried that I think I'm going to be willing to try again.
All right.
Yeah.
Joni's inspired you, maybe.
Yeah.
All right. Cool.
That's all
Look
I
forward
got.
to seeing it. No, that's great. Thank
Yay.
you. Leanne, closing observations. How do you feel at the end of the class? We know we all felt a little, just dragging to show up.
Feel much better.
Oh, good.
I'm glad. I really enjoyed before we started erasing. Right. That was my happiest. That was my happiest. And not because of the erasing, I just my lines were too dark, but anyway, I know I'm not supposed to say that, but it was an experience. So anyway, it was good. I'm excited to do it again. I'll have one to show you next week. So
I love
that?
it. That's great. And I think, now it's a real twofer package with Ben's trick because you can do the whole,
That's right.
You can draw it, then you don't have to erase. You can punch through and have one it's brilliant.
Okay.
Yeah.
That'll be my goal. There you go.
All right.
That's
fabulous.
my intention.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm always learning. So great. All right. Joni, Kaori, I don't know if your share about Japan was, I don't know if that was your closing thoughts, so I don't want to limit you, but you can jump in if you haven't. Joni, how you doing?
Good. I really enjoyed the shape. I also enjoyed the shape before we started erasing. It was jaw-dropping to think that we just made 2 squares, but all those other beautiful lines. So I want to go back and recreate that and do something with that as well. But then I still am very excited to try to get into like that MC Escher-ness of the Tesseract, but I couldn't get there. My brain's not seeing it. So I just started coloring and
Let me see. Hang on. Oh boy, there's color happening. Wait, there we go. Okay. Oh, beauty. Look at that.
So it's just color. It's not doing it. Definitely there's no 3 dimension there, but look at how amazing it is.
There she is. Yeah. I'm telling you, man, it's a totally different frequency when you're like in celebration of everything that you're doing. Way to bring it home. That's awesome.
This might be my favorite one. Looking back at all the shapes, the geometries, I think this could be my favorite one.
Well, you have to say favorite one yet. We have 2 more weeks. You never know. The 64 might woo you.
Truth.
Yeah. Love it.
Yeah. I saw you preview the 64. I'm looking forward to that as well.
Yeah, me too. I love that thing. All right. It's fabulous. Thank you. I'm glad you're hanging out with your favorite one so far. So that's great. Yeah. All right. Kaori, did you have one last thought? Yeah,
I guess I'm with Joni. This has been my favorite one to date. And I also
hang on, I'm coming. Don't go anywhere. Hang on. Oh, beautiful. Yeah, sharp points. I love it.
and try to do one more inside and hoping that would give me the fourth dimensional perception, but
Mhm.
hasn't happened yet.
When I try to go one iteration in, it actually reduces the dimensionality of it for me. It kind
I
of
thought
took it
so.
away.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it becomes like 2-dimensional. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was hopeful as well, but no, the just sharpening the lines of the ones that we have, that popped it more for me. So yeah. Or we could all just do some acid and find it that way. I mean, not like that's my regular thing, but doors of perception changing and opening. And thank you all for being on the ride and playing along with the true potential of our human nature. And I will see you next week, and we'll jump into the 64 and same bat time, same bat channel. We'll see you next week. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Enjoy your pancakes.
Thank you. Thanks. Take care, everyone.